From bizarre outbursts to insane statements.
Saying pull the trigger, the killer's done, now it masturbates to memory. Love you.
Keep watching as we go through some of the most shocking moments caught on camera in court. Welcome back to Dark Realm Tales. Two different inmates were appearing for different charges. Tanner Jacobson was charged with reckless driving and driving with a suspended license, while Cody Howard was facing charges that included second-degree burglary, first-degree trafficking in stolen property, third-degree driving with a suspended license, as well as 2 warrants for failing to appear in court.
We're sitting there on the benches together and he's like, I'm gonna run.
Still in handcuffs, they got up and took off. First Cody, then Tanner.
I said, what am I doing? What did I just do? I gotta go with it now. There's nothing, I can't stop right here. There's nothing I could do now. I'm screwed.
It was just a reaction. I mean, it was just my immediate thought was, gotta get these guys.
Running out of the courtroom, the judge gave chase, not knowing if he would catch up.
Just wanted to at least follow them, find out where they went so they could be apprehended.
Flying down 3 flights of stairs, Tanner made his exit first.
I only get like 4 blocks and then I stopped. Like I just stopped on my own. I'm like, what am I doing right now?
Back at the stairwell, the judge had caught up with Cody.
It was just a split-second decision. I don't even know why I did it. Like I would be out of here if I wouldn't have ran.
I didn't try to escape to get out. I tried to escape to get well, and I tried to do what I could, do what I could do to get my drug addiction.
Tanner and Cody's attempted escape may come as a shock to you, but what this next convict does will make you trip. At Washtenaw County Court in Michigan, 21-year-old Brian Earl Taylor appeared in court for sentencing. Before making his rendition to Adele in a courtroom, his life had taken a dark turn months earlier. On a cold night in November 2015 in Ypsilanti, Michigan, there was a crime that grabbed national attention. Brian found himself on the wrong side of the law after an incident in an apartment. When police arrived in response to a distress call, they found Taylor in a struggle holding a gun to a man's abdomen intending to rob him. Brian faced charges including unlawful imprisonment and carrying a concealed weapon without a permit. With the evidence stacked against him, Taylor chose to plead guilty in hope of receiving a lighter sentence. During his sentencing, he sang a song.
Hello there, Your Honor, I want to say I'm sorry for the things I've done, and I try and be stronger in this life I chose, but I want you to know that door I closed. In Your Honor, I'm sorry, 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 sorry. To my mother, I'm sorry, 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 sorry. To the victim, I'm sorry, 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 sorry. Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry, 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 sorry. Oh. Thank you, Your Honor.
If you thought Brian Taylor singing in court was bizarre, you won't believe what Bass Webb did to his judge. 30-year-old Bass Webb was facing 2 counts of attempted murder. Just a week earlier, surveillance footage captured Webb deliberately attempting to harm 2 jail employees. While one narrowly avoided injury, the other wasn't as lucky, suffering injuries after being pinned to a wall by Webb's car. Webb's violent act marked the beginning of a series of events that show his defiance, rage, and aggression. As he appeared before Judge Vanessa Dixon, there was a lot of tension, and the situation took a further turn when Judge Dixon, acknowledging a conflict of interest, stepped down from the trial due to her acquaintance with the targeted jail employee.
Madison, we have one trial in this case. I have 8 further proceedings, and I'll have to see you for one further set.
As the judge conveyed her decision to step down, Webb, in an act of disrespect, spat directly at her. After this incident, Bass Webb was sentenced to 15 years in prison for assaulting someone while in Fayette County Jail, awaiting verdict for the attempted murder trial. He was found guilty and got an additional 37-year sentence. In total, he was sentenced to 52 years behind bars. However, 5 years later, he was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of an ex-girlfriend. If you thought Bass Webb spitting on a judge was shocking, then what Ronnie O'Neal does will leave you even more surprised.
I did kill Kenyatta Babb, but I want you to tell it like it is if you gonna tell it.
Ronnie O'Neal took up the roles of defendant and his own advocate at his own trial. O'Neal was charged with first-degree murder for the death of his girlfriend, second-degree murder for the death of his daughter, attempted first-degree murder for an attack on his son, arson, and other related charges. There was an incident involving Ronnie O'Neal and his girlfriend Kenyatta Barron, who were caught in a violent altercation while their 2 children, Ron and Ronnie, were present. He fatally attacked his girlfriend and brutally assaulted their daughter, Ron Nivea, with a hatchet leading to her death. He also stabbed his son, Ronnie IV, causing critical injuries. Throughout the trial, O'Neal displayed erratic behavior.
Mr. O'Neal, you need to speak audibly so that the jury can hear what you're saying.
He showed you a fraudulent recording where they allege that I beat Kenyatta Barron to death. He talked about Mr. Khalil Brown, my neighbor who stayed across the street. But if Mr. Khalil Brown was a help to them proving me guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, they would have called Mr. Khalil Brown. But I called Mr. Khalil Brown to be a witness for me. And I didn't ask him to lie about one thing that he saw that night. I asked him to tell the jury exactly what he saw that night. And you have to ask yourself why that is. Because he's playing a fraudulent damn recording of me beating Kenyatta Barron 15 damn times when that did not happen. And like I told you earlier, you will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one. Better believe it. If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
All right, Mr. O'Neal, please stop using swearing language. It's not appropriate in a closing argument.
Now he played a recording that was sped up. Why didn't you play the regular recording that people can understand what the call was saying?
Objection to the defendant asking me questions, Your Honor.
I'm going to sustain
I'm talking to
okay.
people.
Mr. O'Neal, listen, please just keep in mind this is not personal towards the prosecutors. Please keep your comments directed towards the evidence and the law. Thank you.
I know for a fact Kenyatta Barron's recording from her phone did not record calls sped up like that.
I'm going to object now. He's talking about facts, not in evidence, so what he knows.
Again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you were instructed, the closing arguments are just that. They're not the evidence or the instruction on the law. It's just what the parties believe the evidence shows or does not show. All right? Thank you.
You heard Mr. Khalil Brown. You've been hearing me for 2 weeks now, telling you that they committed criminal acts against me with the 911 calls and that fraudulent video that they just showed y'all. Now, I'm going to prove it to you. You heard Khalil Brown. He said that he was actually sure that I only hit Kenyatta Barron 3 times. You heard. I called him to tell you that. I ain't running from nothing. They didn't call Khalil Brown to tell you that. I did. You have to ask yourself why that is. Because I want you to know the actual facts. I did kill Kenyatta Barron. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it.
O'Neal received 3 back-to-back life sentences with no chance of parole, along with an additional 90 years. If you thought Ronnie O'Neal's behavior was bad, then TJ Lane took it to a whole other level.
Saying pull the trigger, the killer's done, now masturbates to memory. Love you.
Yes, you heard that right. That was TJ Lane's chilling statement to the victims' families during his sentencing hearing. In Cleveland, Ohio, TJ Lane appeared before the court for his sentencing hearing. Lane was charged with aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, and felonious assault related to the shooting. In February 2012, Thomas TJ Lane III carried out a school shooting at Chardon High School, leaving 3 students dead and several others wounded. Lane was arrested and put on trial. On the day of his sentencing, Lane's demeanor in the courtroom was chillingly detached as the families begun to deliver their impact statements, expressing their unimaginable loss and grief. In a shocking moment, Lane removed his shirt to reveal an undershirt with the word "killer" written on it. The reaction from the victims' families was a mixture of shock, outrage, and profound sorrow.
I hate you for the pain you have caused, Nick. You chased him down the hall and fired the last bullet that paralyzed him.
However, Lane showed no sign of remorse, but instead had a smug smile, adding more to the insult. It was at this moment that Lane raised his hand and said,
Saying pull the trigger, the killer's done, now masturbates to memory. Love you.
Lane was handed down 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. If TJ Lane's statement shocked you, then wait, what happens next? At a bond hearing in Miami-Dade County, Judge Gerald Klein is about to face an unexpected interruption in his courtroom. 24-year-old Nicole Babb just stripped naked right in the middle of the court. Let's rewind so you can see it again. Nicole was in the courtroom facing charges of identity theft. Before she stripped naked, Judge Gerald Klein was presiding over different cases in court that day. Nicole Babb was among the defendants awaiting their turn for a bond hearing. But before it got to her turn, Nicole disrobed in the middle of the courtroom. The serious mood of the courtroom changed noticeably as her behavior became more dramatic. Many people got disturbed and some laughed during the whole saga. But Judge Keelan remained unfazed throughout the whole thing.
Judge Klein sets the bond, $5,000.
Judge Klein set the bond for Babb for $5,000. While Nicole Babb dared to strip naked in court, this next convict just fell asleep while in court. His name was David Moses. David Moses came to public attention through a violent and tragic case that unfolded in Bakersfield in 2010. 81-year-old Dorothy Sessions was cooking dinner at home when Moses and his friend Cotillion Nash, then teenagers, broke in with intentions of burglary. When confronted by Sessions, the situation turned violent, resulting in her severe beating and eventual death. David Moses was charged with first-degree murder and burglary. During the sentencing, Moses's behavior was inappropriate and strange. He chuckled, yawned loudly, and even appeared to fall asleep in his chair. It appeared that he was going through some drug withdrawal symptoms. He was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. While David Moses's behavior might come as a surprise to you, this next convict did something unthinkable and attacked his own lawyer, Cody Jones. In a Louisville courtroom, a seemingly routine legal proceeding turned into a spectacle of violence and disbelief. A few days before Cody Jones and Scotty Bruce engaged in a heated confrontation at Jones's father's house, police arrived at the house after a distress call to find Bruce wounded with multiple stab wounds to his back and neck. Cody Jones, charged with attempted murder, stood before court for a hearing to decide whether his case would go to trial. The proceedings took a turn when Officer Adam Metzler was called to the stand to recount the details of the night. During cross-examination, Jones, previously silent, began whispering to McCoy, encouraging him to challenge the officer's testimony. The situation intensified when McCoy addressed Jones's bond. McCoy argued for a reduction from $250,000 to $100,000, a move usually welcomed by defendants seeking temporary freedom. However, Jones opposed the reduction.
I don't want my to post it at no 100,000. Keep it at $2
Jones, enraged, delivered a headbutt directly at his lawyer. Cody Jones was sentenced to 10 years in prison. While Cody Jones attacked his own lawyer in court, Michael Madison was attacked by the father of his victim. Michael Madison was in court facing 3 counts of sexually motivated aggravated murder, 3 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of gross abuse of a corpse, 1 count of rape, and 1 count of weapons possession by a convicted felon. Throughout the trial, Michael Madison showed no remorse and remained stoic. During the sentencing, Michael was handed a death sentence. As the sentence was given, Madison acted defiantly. This defiance deeply offended the families of the victims, especially Van Terry, one of the victim's father. As he delivered his impact statement, he couldn't bear Madison's smirk. Filled with anger and rage, Van Terry lunged at Madison. If you watch closely, you can see Madison smirking as Terry lunged at him. Currently, Madison is on death row awaiting his demise. While Michael Madison was attacked by the father of his victim, Keison Wilkins tried to fake a heart attack. Let's rewind and see that again. Ohio resident Keison Wilkins faced legal troubles after firing gunshots in his neighborhood, resulting in his arrest. He faced serious charges of multiple assaults and weapons violations supported by strong evidence. Despite warnings against representing himself in court, he chose to do it. However, as the trial progressed, Keison was tasked with cross-examining a police officer. It was at this moment that he slumped to the ground. Police officers run to Keison's aid, but the judge, who was familiar with Keison's antics, was unmoved by his theatrics.
It reflects that the defendant is slouching over to the side and acts like he's sleeping. His breath appears to be quite normal. Doesn't appear to be labored in any way.
The judge ordered a restart of the hearing, but Keison continued his act by slouching in his chair for the remainder of the proceedings. Wilkins was found guilty and sentenced to 42 years in prison. While Keison Wilkins faked having a heart attack during court, Deobra Redden attacked the judge, who proceeded at Clark County District Court in Las Vegas, Nevada. Deobra Redden, a man with a criminal history, stood before Judge Mary Kay Holthus, faced charges of attempted battery after an incident on April 18, 2023. Police were called to a residence near Lake Mead Boulevard and MLK Boulevard, where Redden allegedly swung a baseball bat at this brother-in-law. The man reported that he was calling 911 to report a stolen vehicle when Redden attacked him, threatening to harm him and swinging the bat. This was when Redden was arrested. During the sentencing, Redden, along with his defense attorney, made a plea for probation.
So basically, I would like to tell the courts, everyone here, like, based on my criminal history, like, I feel that, like, I shouldn't be, like, sent to prison for a second time.
Have you looked at your criminal history? Have you looked at your criminal history?
I actually just, I looked at it.
I mean, you lived it, I suppose.
I just looked at it, yeah.
Yeah. 3 felonies, a gross, 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs. Got a lot going on, sir.
Yeah, I just figured, like...
Battery on a protected person, robberies. Attempt home invasion. Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I was just...
I just figured, like, I'm in a better place in my mind, in my mental health. I have a support system. I just got hired as a teamster for, the union, making $20 an hour. And, like, I've been dealing with mental health, and I didn't know that I was dealing with mental health. And they put me in mental health court, and I still didn't know that I had a mental health problem until it was August 2022 when I realized I have a problem with this. And like having a dictionary and like understanding myself, getting to know myself a little better, and applying it to my personality, and having an epiphany at that moment in those instances, and just like trying to learn from my mistakes, you know. And I feel like I shouldn't be sent to prison, but if it's appropriate for you, then you have to do what you have to do. But I figure that, you know, if I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now, you know, and I feel like I should be given a shot because I'm in a better place than I was then, you know. So, but that's, I'm a person who never stops trying to do the right thing, no matter how hard it is. And I just, you know, and I'm trying, and I never give up trying to do the right thing. I know I'm not a rebellious person. I don't want to be standing here. I don't want you to have to, you know, sit up there and waste your time as well, you know. But the criteria of me saying this is that I'm a person that never stops trying to do the right things, even if it's hard. And I did the best I could. I have mental problems.
Thank you.
They also argued that Redden was on the path to reform, with a new job in hand and future aspirations to continue education.
Judge, as contained in the pre-sentence investigation report, my client was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And speaking with him, it certainly seems that he's following the pattern this court has seen some of the time. So self-medication.
We've had 2 goes at mental health court, Mr. Almasi.
He did. He does have 2 honorable discharge from probation. So he can do probation. He can be successful. This honorable discharge was revoked on a gross misdemeanor that he was supervised for just very recently. But he is in a different position now. His foster mother, who is present as it shows supporting me, is Karen Springer, has provided him a place to live, which is listed on the PSI. His current address is 8 Rose Circle, Apartment A, North Las Vegas. And she very graciously has allowed him to stay there rent-free until he gets on his feet. Now, he is now part of Union 631 with the Teamsters and is hoping to work his way through that program so that he can maintain work. He's also reached out to Shannon West for any job prospects that are available to him through them. Finally, Judge, it's not just his mental health that he's been contending with, but he also has a history of IEP in his education. And at 30 years old, he does not have a high school degree. And so we spoke about that as well, and I think it's high time that he did that. I think the court can trust that he is going to perform well on probation. I think he's worth this risk. The court wants to be 1948 as suggested by the DA. I would have no issue with that, but to suspend it rather than just send him to prison for any length of time, I think it makes more sense given the circumstances and his ability to do probation successfully that he's given this opportunity.
But the judge wasn't buying into Redden's display of remorse. She felt Redden's history of criminal life was too much to ignore.
That, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history.
Before the judge finished her sentence, this happened.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
Hey! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hey!
Oh, no, you're good, stop. Don't do this.
Hey, where's Mary Kate? Is she okay?
After the attack, Redden faced severe legal ramifications. He was charged with attempted murder, battery on a protected officer, battery of an officer, battery by a prisoner, intimidating a public officer, extortion, and other charges. He is currently undergoing trial proceedings. Thanks for staying till the end and watching the entire video. Please leave a comment with your most shocking moments from the video. Don't forget to subscribe.